Lesson 4. What are the challenges of urban growth in Bangladesh? Dhaka is the capital city of Bangladesh. It is the main city of Dhaka district and Dhaka division, and is one of the world's most populous cities in the world, with a current population of around 10 million people concentrated in this metropolitan area. The Greater Dhaka area already holds a population of over 17 million people. With a very large population like this, the question is how Dhaka handles such a huge number of people. Any overpopulated city will commonly have a lot of challenges standing in the way of its prosperity. In a struggling country like Bangladesh, this is particularly challenging. Here are the major challenges that Dhaka is currently facing due to its very large population. Number 1. Social and economic. Growth of squatter settlements. As in many third world countries, squatter settlements are everywhere. Due to the inability of the government to house and meet the needs of its people, resulting in high degrees of poverty, people have taken their survival into their own hands. Since they don't own land on which to build their homes, they build them on land owned by the government, thus becoming illegal settlers of that area. Living in places like these is insecure, as the government might want to use that land for development, resulting in squatters being forced to relocate their homes or see their homes demolished if they stay. Although still considered principally a rural country, Bangladesh already has an urban population of around 35 million, just over 25% of its total populace. Furthermore, the urban population has been growing at a very rapid rate ever since the liberation of the country in 1971, continuing to increase by above 3.5% each year. The country is expected to have an urban population of an estimated 50 million by 2016. This is very fast. Paced growth has been mainly due to migration by people from poor rural areas to urbanized areas, particularly towards large metropolitan areas. Upon arrival, these poverty-stricken migrants frequently turn to slums and squatter settlements for shelter and safety. At the present time, almost all major urban centres in Bangladesh have slums and squatter areas around them, with the largest concentrations being in Dhaka, followed by the other metropolitan cities such as Chittagong, Khulna and Rajshahi. Next, access to clean water and sanitation systems. Maintenance of clean water and sanitation for people will always be a problem for a struggling country. Water supply and sanitation in Bangladesh is actually associated with a number of accomplishments as well as challenges. The proportion of population with access to developed water source was approximated at 98% in 2004, which is considered to be a very high level for a low-income country. The construction of hand pumps through the support of foreign donors has contributed greatly to this achievement. Yet, it was discovered in 1993 that the groundwater, which is primarily the source of drinking water for 97% of the rural population and also a significant proportion of urban population, is in many places naturally contaminated with arsenic. It increasingly appeared that 70 million people were drinking water which surpassed the safe limit, according to World Health Organization guidelines, of just 10 micrograms of arsenic per litre. Also, 30 million people were drinking water containing levels of arsenic even higher than the Bangladesh national standard of 50 micrograms per litre. These violations of water sanitation standards eventually led to chronic arsenic poisoning. To add to that, surface water is known to be generally polluted and is in need of treatment. To sum up, much of Bangladesh, not only in Dhaka, has problems in terms of sanitation access to clean water. This issue needs resolution, but in a struggling country like Bangladesh, such issues are commonly neglected and overlooked. Next, healthcare. Dhaka is like a mecca where foreign populations from neighbouring countries as well as people from rural areas migrate and hope to find a living. Its increasing number of slums is a testimonial to the national capital's struggle to accommodate the abundance of new residents. Land is also scarce, that people have already settled in rivers around the city to make little bit of space for new housing. Mass expulsions are rising rapidly as landowners and the government clear out slums on their land to make way for development projects and profitable buildings. The government's refusal to accept either the increasing number of slums or the truth that 40% of Dhaka residents are now slum dwellers simply means that public service budgets and provision of basic commodities like water and electricity are not being handled adequately to meet the needs of the millions of poverty-stricken residents. Also, according to healthcare workers, hospitals are already unable to handle the growing demand for treatment and services. Dhaka's largest hospital is functioning at about 50% staff capacity, while trying to accommodate 3,000 patients in a facility with just 800 beds. These figures indicate how much of a problem healthcare presents in the city of Dhaka. Next, education. Despite the uneven development of the country is experiencing, Bangladesh still places importance on education. In Dhaka, the budget prioritization of education is visible in building of many schools and learning centres where the young population can learn and become literate. However, because the country is low income, many of these educational facilities, as well as their learning resources, clearly fail to meet the standards for proper learning. Unemployment and crime. Dhaka is the most populous city in Bangladesh. Many poor people come from rural areas come to this metropolis in search of higher standard of living. This central city is hugely congested, but since the city cannot provide for all the needs of its people, including employment, a lot of these people, especially in the slums, are unemployed or work in informal employment. This results in increased crime rates as people who are struggling tend to turn to illegality just to survive. The government needs to address this problem since it greatly affects business and tourism in the country. However, as the government is also struggling, it is likely that this problem will be neglected like other problems notes. Environmental issues. Water pollution. Water pollution creates a serious health hazard for Bangladesh. The dumping of municipal waste, hospital waste and toxic environmental discharges, most from industry, pollute both surface and groundwater sources. The most dangerous threat emanating from environmental degradation is the contamination of groundwater with arsenic. Air pollution. Air pollution is a serious environmental health hazard affecting the populations of Bangladesh. The air pollution of Bangladesh is caused by the increasing population and associated motorization. Indoor air pollution is mainly associated with the use of biomass fuels during cooking with poor ventilation. Industrial waste. The main industrial areas of Bangladesh are in the districts of Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna and Bogra. The industries contributing most to water pollution are pulp and paper, pharmaceuticals, metal processing, the food industry, fertilizer, pesticides, dyeing, painting, textiles and tanneries. More than 200 rivers in Bangladesh, directly or indirectly, receive a large quantity of untreated industrial waste and effluent. Every day, approximately 700 tanneries in Dhaka city discharge about 16,000 cubic meters of toxic waste. The Department of the Environment has listed 1,176 factories that cause pollution throughout the country. Traffic congestion. For a large and overpopulated city, traffic congestion will always be a problem. Due to the overpopulation in Dhaka, traffic jams and road congestion are a very common sight. Road enforcers struggle to cope with the demands of the road traffic due to their inadequate numbers. In conclusion, a number of issues and challenges have become major concerns in Dhaka due to its overpopulated area. The impact that this has had on the public in terms of health, sanitation, water quality, transportation, education, and the overall development of Bangladesh is very hard to find a solution for. For a low-income country, it is very difficult to come up with solutions to the challenges that they are facing. Hopefully, in the near future, the country will be able to change its fortunes and resolve these problems.